Hi, Jevan. Thank you so much for submitting your essay to tutor@dramawithoutborders.com. As some of you might know, I am one of the co-authors of the All About English textbook Secondary 3 for Express and Normal Academic, published by Pearson. This is the only authoritative textbook used in Singapore. I understand that you are doing your O-levels next year, and this is your English essay. The question is, movie stars and sports celebrities are not good role models. Do you agree? I have read your essay and I just want to read it back to you because most students never read what they have written. They write it once, they submit it to the teacher, and then they don't really look at the comments anymore. So I want you to hear it back to yourself or for yourself what you've written, okay? So movie stars and sports celebrities are not good role models. Do you agree? I agree that movie stars and sports celebrities are not good role models. This is mainly due to the fact that these types of people tend to be more arrogant towards their peers after they become famous. They also become engaged in bad things that may eventually lead them astray from the good values that they are supposed to possess. I will discuss these more as my essay progresses. Firstly, many movie stars or celebrities change a lot after they gain fame and recognition. This is probably due to the fact that they become more selfish after they get famous. They often start to do bad things like smoking and being a nuisance to the public. One example of a bad role model is Miley Cyrus. Before she got famous, she was a very good child who was raised properly and did not do any bad things. In the first few stages of her celebrityhood, she was an actress and often got into many disputes with people. After she posted a music video titled Wrecking Ball in 2013, her life started to turn towards the bad side. She often engaged in smoking and posted many nude photos on the internet. Because of this, many adults see Miley as a bad role model for their kids and do not encourage them to follow in her footsteps. Sports celebrities can also be a bad role model to people. Not many of them fall under this category, but there are still some out there lurking in the shadows. Sports celebrities range from less famous sports like gymnastics to the hardcore major sports like football. Sports celebrities often boast about their achievements and like to fight a lot, especially when a referee gives an unfair judgment. One example of a bad role model is Michael Phelps. The USA-born swimmer often boasts about his achievements and makes fun of his opponents when they lose. Because of this, not many people admire him as a swimmer, but see him as a proud and arrogant person who does not show sportsmanship. From the examples given, there are many movie stars and sports celebrities that are bad role models. This is mainly due to the pressure that these people experience that they live up to the standard of a certain degree. However, there are still some people that show moral values and are good role models. One example is Taylor Swift. Despite her busy schedule, she voluntarily helps out at a kids' orphanage or sings songs at an old folks' home or hospital. She's an inspiration to others and is also very humble. Because of this, many children grew up inheriting the values that she possesses. I can therefore say that many famous people are bad role models, but there are still some out there that are good. We should all follow in the footsteps of the good and make this world a better place for everyone. Okay. I want to give you three sets of comments. The first one has got to do with the structure and layout. The second thing is the language. And the third thing is the content. So the very first thing in terms of structure and layout, I want you to know that it is very clear. You have given me an introduction, a middle, and a conclusion. In your introduction, you have also answered the question very clearly what your point of view is. You have given me one singer, actually you've given me two singers and one sports celebrity in the middle. You've given me evidence to prove what you want to say. So in terms of structure and layout, it is adequate. Do remember you need a minimum of 3 examples for an argumentative essay like this one. And your conclusion or your point of view is also quite clear and your entire essay feels coherent and cohesive. Now, however, between paragraphs, you would need stronger signposting. Signposting is a method to remind your reader what you have been discussing or arguing about. So this is good signposting. You said, I will discuss these more as my essay progresses. This is a signpost telling us what you want to say, and then at the end of the paragraph, you need to signpost again to remind us what you have discussed. Okay? So in terms of layout, it's good. Language. Language is the second thing I want you to know. You don't have major grammatical errors, so this is very, very good. It is a good indication that your basic structures are in place, you know your tenses, and you have sufficient skills and language to present and argue a case. I want you to know this, and I want you to congratulate yourself on that, because not many students are able to write as coherently and grammatically sound as you do. So well done on that, Jevan. I will come back to language issues later to help you acquire a higher standard of proficiency and variety. Okay? Now, the third thing I want you to know is the content. Content is usually the one that gives you the meat to your essay. So I want you to learn two things today. Number one is overgeneralizations, and number two, specificity. When it comes to content, you need to be careful in not making overgeneralizations. Now, what I mean is, when you give examples, you will need to make sure they are well researched, they are well evidenced. For example, you wrote, before she got famous, she was a very good child who was raised properly and did not do any bad things. In the first few stages of her celebrityhood, she was an actress and often got into many disputes with people. Now the question is, how do you know this? How can you prove that Miley was a very good child and did not do any bad things? So if you can't prove it, then you are making an overgeneralization. You are making a sweeping statement. You also wrote, because of this, many adults see Miley as a bad role model for their kids. Now can you see the sweeping statements you're making here? Many adults and kids. Now who are these adults? Whose kids are we talking about? By the way, kids is a colloquial usage, so use children instead. Now again, in your next example, is there a way to prove that Michael Phelps often boasted about his achievements or made fun of his opponents? Now give me names, competition details, the context, etc. What did the press or the media say about Phelps? Will you ever know that not many people admire him as a swimmer? Now if this can't be tested, then you are making a sweeping statement or an overgeneralization. Okay? So you need to avoid that, or give me evidence to prove that you are researching in this area and you know what you are talking about, and not giving me claims that cannot be supported. So lesson number 2 for content is specificity. You need to be very specific. So for Taylor Swift's case, you said she is an inspiration to others and is also very humble. Because of this, many children grow up inheriting the values that she possesses. Now my question is, what are these values? Be as specific as you can and narrow down to maybe, is it compassion that you're talking about? Is it generosity? Is it kindness that she is showing? Or is it humility? Now, as you do this, you will need to prove it again, which is back to the point on overgeneralization, right? How do you know Taylor Swift is humble? When? Which orphanage was she at? Who are the hospital patients? What did she do exactly to prove your point? Is this something she did voluntarily? Or is this something her agent or publicity manager has told her to do to increase her popularity appeal? Is this a PR, public relations stunt, a gimmick, or a one-time event? Do you know if she is helping any foundation or charity? Who, why, when, and how? Alright, so in other words, you need to start asking deeper questions and bring to this essay bits of research that question people's assumptions about celebrities. What happens if we find out that Miley or Michael also donate a large part of their money to charitable causes? Will your arguments that they are not good role models still stand? Now this means that you need to start reading and researching news articles. Read widely on social issues, political issues, environmental issues, etc. And of course, examinations, you won't know what topics will appear. So take all these essays and assignments as mini research projects. so that when you write it, your case studies will be cemented in your memory. Keep using some of your favorite case studies and use them differently to answer different essay questions. In this essay, for example, you have looked at Miley Cyrus, Michael Phelps, and Taylor Swift, and the topic is around social behaviors and values. But you can also start researching on some of these celebrities' songs or sports, their careers, and what they do, so that if there were to be a sports related question or about singers in general, then you know a few more things around their career, how they had developed themselves to be the professionals that they are. Okay? So now I want to focus a little more on your language, okay? This is something you need to practice so that you can raise your proficiency to the next higher level. All right, it is basically adding variety to your sentence structures. I want you to see the patterns that you're creating in this paragraph. I'm just going to pick a paragraph and talk about it. I'm not sure if you're familiar with these grammatical terms, so I'm going to try. Now, you have used subordinate clauses before your main clause, with the only exception in your fourth sentence. All right, a subordinate clause is a clause that cannot stand on its own, and a main clause is an independent clause that is complete in itself. All right, so let me give an example, okay? And the colors will also be very helpful to you. You wrote in this paragraph, before she got famous, there's a subordinate clause. She was a very good child who was raised properly and did not do any bad things. Next. In the first few stages of her celebrityhood, she was an actress and often got into many disputes with people. After she posted a music video titled Wrecking Ball in 2013, her life started to turn towards the bad side. Do you notice so far that you have in the three sentences started with a subordinate clause followed by a main clause? Right, then the next sentence you said, she often engaged in smoking and posted many new photos on the internet. Then you went back to your repetitive pattern of subordinate clause plus main clause. You wrote, because of this, many adults see Miley as a bad role model for their kids and do not encourage them to follow in her footsteps. Now, if you see, this is rather boring after a while. Do you also notice that your main clauses had the same repetitive pattern? She was a very good child. She was an actress. So you need to add variety to spice up your sentence structures. Okay? There are many different ways of doing it, but for now I want you to practice these two top tips. Number one, put the main clause first at the beginning of the sentence. Number two, shorten one or two sentences for variety. Okay, I'm going to restructure and reconstruct your paragraph a little bit to give you an example or a demonstration of what you can do to add variety to your sentence structures. Here, without changing your content, okay, your content is, as I have already argued or discussed, needs to be substantiated with much clearer evidence. But without changing your content, I'm just going to change the order here, okay? Before she got famous, she was a very good child who was raised properly and did not do any bad things. She was an actress and often got into many disputes with people in the first few stages of her celebrityhood. Next, I'm going to change the sentences or make the sentences more coherent with a few minor adjustments, again without changing your content. So this is what I'm going to write. Before she got famous, she was a very good child who was raised properly and did not do any bad things. But she got into many disputes with people after she became a celebrity actress during the first few stages. Then I'm going to change the sentence length. What you want to do is, as you have noticed, the last two sentences are pretty long. So for contrast, you want to keep this short and punchy. Okay? So, next. Wrecking ball wrecked her reputation. And then now I'm going to add information to give it context and specificity, okay? This was the music video that shook the world and caused controversies. She was seen completely naked swinging from a cannonball, singing the words, "I came in like a wrecking ball, yeah, I just closed my eyes and swung, left me crouching in a blaze and fall." And then we see her licking a sledgehammer in a suggestive manner. This unwholesome behavior portrays her as a sex symbol, a female to be gawked at and objectified. I understand that these are some pretty big words here, but I'm going to encourage you to try expanding your vocabulary and look at the dictionary and see whether you understand these words. If you don't understand, write me an email and I can explain it again. So in this very quick essay feedback, I have not looked at everything that you've written. The Word document with track changes will be sent to you, but this one is just an overview of your structure, your language, as well as your content. Okay? So I hope this essay feedback has been useful to you. Feel free to submit the next essay and we will discuss this further, and I hope you do really, really well for your O-levels next year. Alright, take care, Jevan. Goodbye.